Right, hello folks. Hope you're doing well. Now, this is the part two. This is part two of the video on the Le Creuset Enamel Cast Iron Skillet. I was able to do this video sooner than I thought, which is good. So in part one, which I'll put a link down below for, we had a good look at this pan. We just looked at some specifications, had a quick discussion about if enamel cast iron actually even makes sense in a fry pan. So in part two of this video, we're going to do a cooking test on this new cooktop that I've got. And we'll do a conclusion on if or not you should buy this pan. Right, so first let's have a look at how the Le Creuset 23 centimeter enamel cast iron skillet distributes heat. And we'll do a quick comparison with the Proline. It's very thick, also in a very similar size. Yeah, it did a pretty good job. Like I always say, if you want the best temperature distribution or the most even temperature distribution, you have to heat the pan slowly. Okay, so here I used a setting of 6 out of a maximum possible setting of 9. Now, and also in this case, I got pretty good results because it's a small pan, so it's not difficult to match the size of the pan to the size of the burner. So in this case, I had almost a perfect match. So as you can see here, the maximum temperature difference between the center and the edge by the end of the test after 6 minutes, it was about 33 degrees. Okay, so that's pretty good for cast iron. I think for cast iron, considering that it doesn't distribute heat all that well by nature, this is kind of as good as it gets, I would say. Now, if we have a look at the Proline, so the Proline did much better, as you would expect, with the aluminium core. It also heated much slower than the cast iron. I'll show you the graph in a sec. But as you can see here, the Proline, the difference between the center and the edge was only about just over 10 degrees. Okay, so that's almost negligible. So that's excellent. Now, if you are interested, here is the graph of the center temperature versus the edge. This is the first graph is for the Le Creuset. So pause the video here if you want to have a look at this graph. All right, and we'll have a look at another graph of the center temperature of the Le Creuset versus the center temperature of the Proline. So I think this is a good comparison, right? The Proline, as you can see here, it heats much slower because it just has a lot more thermal mass than the Le Creuset at around say here, right? So the Proline was 2 minutes slower than the Le Creuset, and the difference just got bigger as the test went on, right? So at the end of the test, we're talking about a 3-minute difference between. So the Proline took almost 3 minutes longer to reach the same temperature as the Le Creuset. So for the test, I seared a chicken breast. So have a listen to the sound as it goes in the pan. Okay, now after about 2 minutes, let's have a look at the sear. Yeah, it's a pretty nice golden color. And after a few minutes, let's have a look at the sear on the other side. So, we also got a nice golden color as well. Now, for the overall cooking impressions, so the sear is good, right? I would still say the Proline sears a little bit better. The surface of the chicken on this Proline here was able to develop a better crust. Now, the temperature control in this cast iron, it's a little trickier compared to the Proline because it doesn't have as much thermal mass, so it cooks faster. So you just need to be a bit more careful not to overheat the pan when using this cast iron. But of course, now both of these things can be perfected with a little bit of practice and technique. So you're gonna get used to it, right? It's always like this. Just my first impression of using this pen. Okay, so that was the cooking test. So overall, it went pretty well. You know, the chicken stew came out very, very nice, very tasty. Now, let's just finish with a quick conclusion. So this part is, I think, much quicker than part one. So first of all, so the conclusion is, should you buy this, the Le Creuset Enamel Cast Iron Skillet? Well, let's answer this question with 3 simple questions. So question number 1 is, did I enjoy using it? And the answer is yes, absolutely, I did enjoy using it. Question number 2 is, would I personally buy it for my own collection? Well, not as my first choice, okay? So I wouldn't buy it as my first choice. So if I only had a choice between enamel cast iron skillets and, you know, a stainless skillet like the Proline, I would still pick the Proline quite easily, in fact. Now, like I mentioned in part 1 of this video, it's really hard to make a case for enamel cast iron when it's put up against a good stainless steel pan like this, because of the fact that neither of them is non-stick, and also the stainless pan, especially thick one like the Proline, it gives you some additional advantages, right? Including better heat distribution, in some cases better heat retention, and also potentially better longevity because it doesn't have a enamel coating that can potentially be damaged. So technically, you know, the stainless pan is, I would say, is still superior. But having said that, it doesn't mean that I won't have a couple of nice enamel cast iron pieces just for the sake of enjoyment, right? You know, once in a while, it is nice, I guess, to use something a little bit different. And the third question is, should you actually buy this pen? Well, I'm a very analytical person, so I guess, you know, most other people will not be as analytical as me when it comes to the technicalities of cookware. So the answer to this question is, you know, just forget about the fact that stainless I think is technically superior than cast iron. The question you have to ask is, will you enjoy using it, right? If you will enjoy regularly using it, and if it will encourage you to cook more meals at home, then yes, you should absolutely buy it, right? At least that's my answer anyway. Okay, so the last thing I want to say in this video is that, look, in these videos I don't do a lot of cooking tests. Maybe I'll just do 1 or 2, because it's not because what the results that I get is not guaranteed to be the results that you get, because there are just way too many variables that are in play that can affect how a dish comes out, right? Everybody's got a different stove, everybody's got different size burners, everybody is using different pans, we all cook different style types of food with different ingredients, so it's really hard to say that, okay, I got good results out of the pan, therefore you're gonna get the same good results, right? So it's just so I'm just doing it as just to give you a bit of my personal perspective, which hopefully helps you a little bit. Okay, so that's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.